Hello, Jim Babka here. Normally with Grace Argue with Jim Babka, but here a special installment we call Instant Grace. We recorded an episode about Mark Zuckerberg and his changes in policy at Meta. And we did the show and we got done with it. And I realized I'd forgotten a point I wanted to make, a point that I feel is probably more important than many of the points that I actually did cover in the show. Censorship doesn't work. And I want to illustrate this through the story of Robert F. Kennedy. Now, there may have been such a thing as V hesitancy, and I'm talking about a certain substance you have injected into you to prevent sickness and disease. I don't think it was that high and that widespread. There was more talk of it. But then along came a worldwide sickness and a product that was actually not a V. It was actually a therapy, a gene therapy, was labeled or branded as being a V. I'm using coded language in case someday the algorithm changes its mind again and decides this is banned. And who knows with the title I've got, maybe it'll still get banned anyway. But it was a difficult time that we were living through where discussion wasn't allowed to be had. And not only that, there were mandates imposed upon people. The fact that the censorship occurred, the fact that you couldn't question authority in that hour was considered so risky, so dangerous. People so could not be trusted. And what do we have now? We have a boomerang effect. We have a backfire issue here. A candidate emerges who has specifically been in the battle for years against these substances, especially the new one. And he's maybe tangled with and doesn't like Anthony Fauci either. And he gets a lot of press and attention, and he's able to use that to come along and begin something that when you have the last name Kennedy, you almost feel like you have to run for something, right? He's got a legacy of his father and his uncle to live up to, and he shows up, the namesake of his dad, and runs for president of the United States. And Robert F. Kennedy brought other things and other issues up and really waged a pretty viable first Democratic challenger, but he wasn't really allowed to challenge. Even there, he was suppressed. So he broke free and ran as an independent. So much effective was his effort that his endorsement of the eventual winner, Donald Trump, leads to his position in the cabinet today and may have helped Donald Trump win the election itself. And that position in the cabinet is in the very area that he's been spending his time talking all these years. The thing that probably the establishment feared the most, the notion of somebody in charge of health and human services who does not believe in V. Once again, that shot that you get to prevent sickness and disease. I am not here and not willing or interested at this time in engaging in any discussion about whether or not these substances work or don't work or dangerous or not dangerous. That is not the point. I am speaking now to the people who believe that misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation should be the subject of content checkers, that somehow or other should be even regimes that find ways to neutralize the speech of dissenting Americans or even simply people who have questions. You tried it, and it didn't work. In fact, it spectacularly failed, and the failure was so spectacular that the result is the thing you denied, the person you denied, got a cabinet position. I think it's something to think about. I think it's something to consider. Every time that we attempt to suppress another, are we really creating kind of a forbidden, almost Streisand effect, where the very thing that we said, don't look at that, don't touch that, don't think about that, becomes the thing that people look at and think about? Is that what we're doing? That's how I see censorship working. And it's one of the reasons that even the people who don't like information's being packaged now, and inevitably, at some point, that'll be you, should tread carefully when they think that they should use the state to suppress the expression and especially the questioning of others, of outsiders.